All right, welcome in. It is some Detroit Sports Talk here on this Tuesday, presented by CashToBitcoin.com. And we've got 3 wide going, tri-screen right now. See on the bottom, there's Adrian Myers keeping the score. Adrian, how are you?
Good. How y'all doing?
Good. And Brian Jelinek back for this Tuesday. Brian, it's great to have you back. And you in the holiday spirit? What's going on?
I am in the holiday spirit. I've actually been for the past 2 weeks trying to move into my new crib. So as of today, this will be the last show in Bloomfield Hills before I move to Royal Oak.
All right, I just going to spring this on you guys right now. Like one of the days, either it's going to be Tuesday or Thursday next week, we should do a sweater show. Now, if it's just a nice sweater you want to wear, or if you want to wear, like, they say the ugly, Christmas sweater. So I was thinking about Tuesday, because once you get to Thursday, what is that? Is that like almost Christmas Eve, or the eve of Christmas Eve, I guess is what it is. So that'll be a really Christmassy show. I'm thinking Tuesday. That's more of the fun one. Thursday. There you go.
Tuesday.
All right. So we've got that going. Well, we've also got a lot going on here. We've got Rob producing the show, and we've got 5 chapters of sports to talk about. If we can get that screen up there. And that those chapters, as you see right there, they're presented by our title sponsor, and that is CashToBitcoin.com. You've thought about it, just like Adrian, just like Brian, and just like Rob, how to get involved in the cryptocurrency game. Now I'm here to tell you how to do it. Go to CashToBitcoin.com. There's lots to get excited about here, and the final days of 2021, like the Orange Bowl, and like CashToBitcoin.com. Easy for you to say. It's the official cryptocurrency of the Detroit Red Wings. That's right. CashToBitcoin.com is one of the fastest and largest growing crypto ATMs in Michigan. They have hundreds of locations in Michigan and beyond. You can check out a map and find the crypto ATM near you. CashToBitcoin.com. It's on Twitter. That's cash2 Bitcoin.com. So get it going, find an ATM, and check it out. Now is the time, folks. Remember it and use it. It's CashToBitcoin.com.
Thank you, the Cash to Bitcoin. And Fith, this is actually my fault. I sent Rob the wrong book, so we had the wrong book up there, but I'll just read it out so everybody knows. But we're going to be talking about the NFL MVP race, who we think should win, who's going to be up there. We got coming up in the third chapter, should Kenneth Walker III and Kenny Pickett play in the Peach Bowl? Coming up in chapter 4, we're talking about the signing day, National Signing Day. Chapter 5, CADE Cunningham, some Pistons talk. But I think starting off would be a good time to start chapter 1. That's just going to be talking about Lions and Broncos for on Sunday.
You know what? Chapter 1 is always a good place to start. And talking about the Lions and Broncos is really good. And Rob's got a surprise for us.
I do. Am I echoing, by the way?
You are.
Damn it.
That's all right. I can bring in the surprise guest, because I see him right there on the screen, Rob. And it is the host of Locked On Lions, the great Matt Derry, who is joining us. If I can hit the screen right there, he is. There's the D's. D's, how are you?
What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
What's up?
Hey,
good,
thanks
good.
for joining the
Dennis,
fifth chapter.
Dennis.
We're talking about the Lions,
Dennis, I love you, buddy. It's great to see you. This Robert Banker is something else, isn't he? Oh my goodness.
Well, we can spend the entire show. We can spend the entire show talking about him, and we will do a tribute to his favorite player. We will do that while you're on, So that will get him excited for the holidays.
Don't do it.
Well, we will.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad for Brian, that Brian has had to endure the Rob Diddy experience, because Dennis and I have worked with some real classics in radio, but oh man, this guy takes the cake, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
I agree.
He does. Hey, Matt, let's talk about the Lions here. They get their first win, and then they go out to Denver here, and not a lot. Like Craig Reynolds, like the running back. I'm like, who's this guy? So I mean, they got down 14-0, and we just need to get these remaining games out of the way and get to the off season where the excitement will begin. That's the way I'm looking at it. What about you?
No, I agree, Dennis. I mean, I think that these last few games are I'm not going to say useless, but let's be honest. Let's talk about Sunday, for example. We want the Lions to lose. You don't want to win and risk the draft pick and moving down. And then the Cardinals are a team you're rooting to win so that they can keep the Rams out of better, playoff positioning and a worse draft pick for you. So this is one of those weeks, and I'm not usually Mr. Tank guy, but this is one of those weeks you look at it and say, let's let the Lions lose this one. And with Roby Coleman going out today with COVID, they're decimated in the secondary. They got that first win out of the way. I don't see another win. Do you guys? The rest of the way, it's going to be very difficult.
No, I don't see a win at all. I mean, you're looking at teams like Jacksonville and stuff like that. They have opportunities to maybe win one or two more games, like same with the Houston Texans. But looking at the Lions' schedule, like going to Atlanta, all that type of stuff, playing the Cardinals this week, I don't see another win. And thankfully, Matt, you can come to our side and just say, look, I want them to lose. I don't want any more winning for the rest of the year. I don't want to see anything good happen on the field, really. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I do not see the Lions winning another game. It's going to be a 1-15-1 type year.
Isn't that incredible, Brian? Because you look at the start of the season and you say it's almost impossible in this day and age of the NFL to not win at least 3 or 4 games. And I said at the start of the year, I locked on Lions, and I thought, all right, 4-13, nothing wrong with that. You want to see improvement. You want to see some guys get better. You want to find some diamonds in the rough like Jerry Jacobs, maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown, guys like that. Hey, Evan Brown has been tremendous as a backup center, now starting center. So you have some depth there for next year and a guy that you would bring back, even Charles Harris to an extent. But it hasn't been good enough to win enough games. And Dan Campbell, and I know Aiden Hutchinson made the point to Adam Schefter today, Dan Campbell seems like a great guy, but he's made too many mistakes. And those coaching blunders can't happen next year or the year after. So he's not going anywhere. Obviously, once we saw the locker room video of him picking Sheila up and lifting her up into the rafters there,
it's like they won the Super Bowl,
and he's not going anywhere. Yes, absolutely. Well, it kind of was their Super Bowl, but Atlanta on the road, Seattle, Green Bay, Arizona. It's going to be very difficult to scratch another win. You're right about that.
Go ahead, Adrian.
I was going to say, I did say about a month ago that maybe Atlanta, but Atlanta's playing actually pretty well right now. They went and beat Carolina. Jared Goff, I seen your tweet the other day, Brian, about Jared Goff doesn't realize how bad he is. So it's just, I just don't see this team get another win. They do need the number 1 draft pick. I got to see better from Dan Campbell when it comes to making better time clock management, especially with most of these coaches around the league who just debacle the clock. But we knew coming in, being decimated with injuries, that they had no shot against Denver. You just need to see some development from these guys. But they will ultimately get the number 1 pick, I believe, and will coach the Senior Bowl as well. So,
ooh,
well,
Senior Bowl would not be a bad thing for them, because there's some quarterbacks that they have got to take a good long look at that Senior Bowl. And none of them, I see Brian shaking his head. None of them are any good. I'm with you, Brian.
Yeah.
They're going to have to take one. Not at
who do you think they would take, Matt? Who do you think they would take, Matt?
Well, McShay said today Sam Howell, but I watched Sam Howell this year for Carolina, and he's small. He's not even. They list him at 6'1". When they list a quarterback at 6'1", that means he's more like 6 feet and a half. He's okay, but he took a beating this year behind that Tar Heel offensive line. None of these guys wow me. Malik Willis would be fun, but he's 2 or 3 years away. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just looking at the quarterbacks too. When you're looking at these mocks now, nobody's going to like 10, 11, 12, 13. There's just, you can't take a quarterback in this type of year, especially with how bad you are. You're married to Jared Goff. Like, this is the year where your 2 first-round picks and your first, second-round pick, which I believe is at pick 33. I could be off, but I think it's somewhere right in there. Those 3 guys are starters right away. You got to bring in some guys, hopefully on defense, because the offense is going to be bad regardless with Goff on their center. So you might as well just go defense. I would have no problem going 2 defensive ends in the first round, or a linebacker and Aiden Hutchinson or Thibodeau or something. Just, you can't take a quarterback this year.
They need to take one at some point, though. This is I don't know about first round, but this organization has notoriously not drafted quarterbacks. This past year, I can't believe Brad Holmes didn't take somebody developmentally so that we didn't have to watch the Tim Boyle experience. Sitting here saying, "Oh, please put David Blau in the Pittsburgh game." Get out of here. Like, there's a reason that kid doesn't see the field. So they have to take one. The question is where. And like you said, Brian, I think that if it's not in that first round, but McShay mocked 5 in the first round today, but none of them wow me. I mean, even Kenny Pickett, other than the fake slide, he had some very iffy games at Pitt. This is not a great quarterback draft. This is not the Eli Manning, Phil Rivers draft. It's not the Peyton Manning draft. And of course, it's typical that the Lions. It's typical that the Lions are at that point where they look like they're going to get the number 1 pick, and this is one of the worst quarterback drafts we've seen.
Yeah, hey, when Pickett lights up that Michigan State secondary, people will be, talking about taking him. I disagree with Brian. I think with that second pick, I mean, you have that. You get, if you take a guy in the first round, you get that extra year with him to develop. But really, if you get a guy like Malik Willis, you got to be able to figure out he's not going to play much next year, but you're sitting there. You should know you're going to be up towards the top of the draft next year where there's going to be a lot of good quarterbacks. I don't mind. You know what? Throw as much as you can at the quarterback position. If you get it right, that's what the key is. And they've got the extra pick here. I say go with one of those quarterbacks, on that pick in the 20s. Matt, tell us, you connect with the fans every day. What are they saying? Are they want to take a flyer, or are they more like Jelinek, who just say, let's wait till next year?
Well, I think first and foremost, what this fan base wants is, no, they don't want Alex Anzaloni. Did he? I think what they want Hutchinson first and foremost. Imagine, Dennis, and you have the pulse of Ann Arbor. Nobody knows Ann Arbor like Dennis Fithian. If they pass on Hutchinson, see, this will set the tone for the draft, right, Denny? If they take Thibodeau over Hutchinson, this fan base is going to go batshit crazy. Excuse my language. So they've got to get number 1 right before we talk about quarterbacks. But you're right; they have so many other holes. Like, for example. And I talk about this all the time, and I did this on the radio years ago. The Lions have all these players that are Lions good. Like Will Harris is Lions good. He's not good, but in our mind, he's Lions good. Tracy Walker, I think he's fine, but like they need a safety. I'd love Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. He'd be awesome, but they're not going to get 2 top 5 guys. They have major holes at linebacker. They have a major hole at wide receiver. So it's like, that's the thing. Like, you bring up a good point. If they're not enamored with these QBs, then you've got to take best player available because you have so many other holes, especially on the defensive side. And I think Aaron Glenn has done as best as he can do with this defense. But even the D line this week against Denver, the Onwuzurike McNeil Express got wrecked on Sunday, and those are 2 of your top 3 picks from this year.
All right, Dees, we want to give one thing to Diddy here before we have you move on. It's radio and podcasting legend. Nobody's connected to the Pistons more than Matt Derry, a professional in the radio business for 2.5 decades. So we do appreciate having him on here. Alex Anzaloni, he's played the most snaps for the Lions, right? I mean, is he somebody? He's going to be a free agent. Is there a chance that they're going to bring the blonde warrior back?
Yes, the golden locks of Alex Anzaloni, and I know that's a Robert Banker favorite, but let's be honest here. Pro Football Focus despises him. His numbers have not been good. He's all or nothing. There's some games where he's flying around the field, and then there's some other times that he just is not in the right spot, wrong gap, wrong hole. Wrong, in coverage and in guarding the tight end. I think they can upgrade at linebacker, and I've been disappointed in Derek Barnes. Everybody loved the Derek Barnes pick. He's had his moments where he struggled. So I still would love to see a linebacker that can really be a beast. You watch some of these guys on some of these other teams like Levante David. We watch what Micah Parsons is doing. I'm not telling you the Lions are going to find a market Micah Parsons in this draft, but they need to be better up the middle. I know Dan Campbell loves Alex Anzaloni, and I would guess that the Gaines Media poster boy will be back next year.
Hey, those guys can all go to a Metallica show together. It doesn't mean he has to be out on the football field. All right, these Locked On Lions.
They have so many holes.
You're talking to the Pistons all the time. Like, what else? I mean, is there anything else we can promote for you?
No. I appreciate you guys having me on. I watch when I can. I'm scrolling through Facebook, and all of a sudden, you guys are on. I always check out what you're doing. There's not a a nicer guy in this business than you, Dennis. And Brian, I don't know if you're related to Chris Jelinek or not, but that's my guy. I taught Chris at UD High for 3 years. He's a tremendous young man. Is he still at Michigan State?
He is at Michigan State. He's a junior, I believe, now. It's wild.
All right. I know
he's boycotting the show. He's boycotting the show because K9 didn't get invited to Downtown Athletic Club. So what can we do?
Here we go. I put that on the tee. I put that on the tee for Dennis. We'll break down Josh Gaddis. We'll break down Josh Gaddis's Broyles Award coming up next.
Yeah, well, he can't hear you with those rings in his ears. All right, Dees, we appreciate it. You're the best, man. Appreciate your time. There he is, Matt Derry.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Rob, are you? I'll do it. There you go. He'll pop back up. I think we simultaneously hit the button. Adrian, we might have to get Adrian keeping the score there so people know your name when they're on there.
Yeah, I'll change it. I'll change it for Thursday. For Thursday's show, I'll change it from here on out.
All right. Well, that was a lot of Lions news. Let's move it on and get to chapter 2.
Let's do it. I think that brings us into talking about the NFL MVP and who we think it should be. And I want to hear your guys' answers before I throw mine out there because I don't want everybody to go the same route. So, Adrian, let's start with you, man. Who you think it should be NFL MVP this year, as of right now?
As much as it pains me to say this, because I've been a very big hater of him his entire career, Tom Brady, man. Tampa Bay is on a roll right now. Tom Brady I believe, is leading the league in touchdown passes and passing yards. You've seen what he did against Buffalo in overtime. Like I always relate this analogy, Tom Brady is like Michael Myers. He doesn't die. People never put their foot on the gas. This man continues to just continues to win games and continues to put up staggering numbers and play at a high level. It seems like every time he needs a big performance or one of the sides of the ball to step up the defense or the special teams or one of his receivers, they do it. And that's what they did Sunday. But I think Tampa, the way they're playing right now, they're starting to play similar to how they did last year towards the end of the season right now. And if they get that number 1 seed, you can book it. They're going to Super Bowl.
I saw something wild where he's had like 60 touchdown passes in the red zone and 0 interceptions, something ridiculous like that since he's been in Tampa. Tom Brady's been an absolute freak this year. Fith, are you going the same route or going with something totally different?
Well, I mean, I think to me, I've got 4 guys here, but I do have Tom Brady in the lead. I mean, Cooper Kupp going for the hat trick and receiving yards and catches and touchdowns. I don't think that's ever been done. I mean, that's some special recognition right there. You at least have to consider him, just like Micah Parsons, what he's doing with the Cowboys. They're flipping him, putting him on defensive end. He's flying all around. But I think Rodgers and Brady are the ones here. And, you just saw what Rodgers did on Sunday night. But I think that game that Rodgers got suspended, he didn't get suspended, but, because of the COVID issue and everything that went on there, they both have the same record. And you just look at the numbers. I mean, over 4,000 yards, 4,100 yards, 36 touchdowns for Tom Brady, 32 and 27 for Rodgers. Like, you got to break that tie somehow. Now, if the Packers go out and get that number 1 seed and Rodgers plays like he did Sunday night, it's not so close. It's not such a big gap that I'm saying, let's hand the award out right now. I think Rodgers has a chance to unseat him. But if I had to vote today, I'd vote for Tom Brady.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you about Aaron Rodgers for the fact that he's been playing out of his mind the last 3 weeks against the Rams, against the Vikings, and Chicago. I understand that Minnesota and Chicago aren't that good, but Rodgers is putting up crazy numbers right now too. And I just think with his supporting cast and everything like that, it's not nearly what Tom has in Tampa Bay. And I got to give it to Rodgers because I think at the end of the day, he is and has been one of the most athletic quarterbacks of all time. Like, the dude was just a freak when it comes to running, throwing the ball, everything. Like, he's really fun to watch. I may hate him as a guy, stuff like that, destroying the Lions nonstop, but Rodgers is the man. He is so freaking good. And if he goes to Denver next year, which I think he is, they're automatically a Super Bowl favorite because they have all the pieces ready to go. But one other thing, I'm just glad you brought up Cooper Kupp. We got to give a little credit to Matt Stafford.
We do.
That was a damn good game on his part last night. I thought he was going to crumble. I was getting ready to throw out all my anti-Stafford propaganda, but Matt Stafford had one hell of a game on primetime against a 10-win team. Like, Matt Stafford, good for you, man. You silenced some haters last night for sure. Good for you.
He made some great throws.
Unbelievable throws.
Yeah, he
throws
hung
that
in
few
there.
people can make.
Yeah, he hung in there. Took
that
some
one
shots.
the one to Jefferson was phenomenal. Steps to the left and throws a bomb.
Oh, that throw in the end zone, like in between two defenders' hands. Oh my God, that was fun to watch. That was a good game all around. But I still hate you, Matt Stafford. But that was a good game. Good for you, man. You deserve that.
Yeah, before we move on, I'll just say when you bring up Stafford, I just heard like people still we watched it for 12 years, so we know how everything goes. And people are throwing out a lot of the record against teams that had more than 8 wins, or his playoff record where he's 0-3. Whenever you hear anybody talk about his playoff record of 0-3, and it's been a long time since they played the Saints. I mean, it was 2011, so I mean it's 10 years since he played, but he played great in that game. Mm-hmm. And it's the Lions defense that cost him. The Lions that year, he threw 5,000 yards. They had an NFC championship type offense. Their defense, the Saints didn't punt in that game. Stafford was really good. So was Kelvin. He had over 200 yards. So, you should say, okay, yeah, he was 0-3, but he really played good against the Saints 10 years ago. Maybe that's like, sounds like I'm reaching like as some kind of Matt Stafford supporter, which, I like Matt Stafford. I just hear the numbers being rolled out there like he sucked. Now he wasn't very good against the Seahawks, and against the Cowboys, He had an opportunity with over 2 minutes and a couple timeouts to lead the team down and get it done late. And he wasn't able to do it. I know they had the bad call and everything in that game, but so I know that's just breaking up his playoff numbers here. Here I am going again about Matt Stafford, but I just wanted to get that off my chest.
I can't hate on him from last night. It was a damn good game. Like Stafford looked like a top 5 quarterback in the league last night. So I got to give him that. We'll see if it continues.
He is second in the league in touchdown passes behind Tom Brady. So
I didn't even know that. That's awesome to know. That's wild.
I heard his wife, instead of throwing a pretzel, she bought pretzels for the entire section over there last night. So we're off and rolling. All right, let's keep it moving and get to chapter 3.
That'd be chapter 3, and that's going to be talking about the little New Year's 6 bowl action. Dennis, did you want to put a plug in real quick for our sponsor?
Well, no, I want to introduce the chapter, though, because it's on me. You do 2 and 4, and I'll ask Adrian here. You've got the Peach Bowl coming in. You got Kenneth Walker. You got Kenny Pickett, 2 guys that have to make decisions about playing. Walk us through. K9, Jelinek, you do the same thing. If you're these guys' representatives, what would be your advice to Kenneth Walker III and Kenny Pickett about playing in the Peach Bowl?
For me, a lot of people, I've talked to people about this, here and there, but if I'm Kenny Pickett, I'm not playing in the bowl game. You don't have anything else to prove. You might be a first-round pick, second round at the latest. I know it's a weak quarterback class like we talked about, but somebody's going to get picked. A team's going to reach for a quarterback. I go the same thing with Kenneth Walker just because he showed a lot. But I think he'll play. But if he didn't play, I wouldn't be mad at him. But if it was me personally, I wouldn't play because as a running back, you already have a short lifespan as it is. So if you can preserve your body a little bit and get ready for the draft and be a late, he won't even be he'll be a second round pick in my opinion, maybe third round pick. But I wouldn't play. You don't have anything to prove, and if you got to go make your money, and if you get hurt, then you're gonna lose a lot of money, and you're not gonna prove anything. I know the fan base may not be happy, but I'm looking at it more so for them as a business decision. You have to do what's best for you. You came out there and you fought hard for your team. I mean, another playing in the Peach Bowl. If Michigan State's hoping Kenny Pickett doesn't play just because their pass defense, Brian, as you know, is atrocious. It's god awful. So they'll have their fingers crossed for that. But for a fan, I would love to see him because it would be it's more entertaining with them there. I would watch. If they don't play, neither one of them plays, I probably won't watch this game because Peyton Thorne's gonna light Pittsburgh up. But if I was them, I wouldn't play. So I'm not mad at neither one of them if they both decide not to play.
God, I gotta agree with you. Just I hate that people are starting to opt out now, especially in New Year's 6 bowls, because they're big time games. Like you definitely want to watch the best players play. But I agree. Like I mean, if anything, I think Kenny Pickett has more to prove just for the fact that MSU's defense is terrible. Like it's a great way to just pad some stats, look like you're out of your mind playing well, maybe increase your draft stock by a little bit, but. On the other side, as much as I want Kenneth Walker to play, I don't think he will. Why would he? It's not a college football playoff game, stuff like that. Just at the end of the day, they should not play. I want them to play, but they won't. So that's really tough. But I don't think either of them are going to play, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, I think both of them are going to play, and I think both of them should. I think you see Chapman there on the feed saying, if I was Pickett, I would play. MSU has no pass defense. 400-yard game could mean he's a top 5 pick. And I think that's the thing with Pickett. I mean, you said it, Adrian. Like, we don't know. You get 10 like mock drafts right now and people that do this, and you'll have, a different quarterback, pick going 1 in the 5. Some of them all going in the teens, none in the top 10, 3 in the top 10. Pickett goes out there and plays really well. I mean, his last chance to get out there as a QB, he could go from, who knows? He could be a late first rounder right now, that he could vault into the top 10. I don't know about top 5, but that's what Chapman's saying. So I think he's, and especially he's licking his chops with that pass defense like you're talking about. He can make that impression, and it only takes one GM to say, man, look at this guy. Right now he's known for the fake slide. He goes out there and is known for, carving up the Michigan State defense. And when it comes to K9, you're right. Like, I don't know how much draft position he's actually going to improve. So I completely get your point. But now that you have name, image, and likeness, you have the opportunity to go out there and say, look, Lloyd's of London insurance policy, say, hey, Kenneth, here's where we project you. You can get a number of different evaluators to say, hey, look, you're projected to go at 40. If you get hurt and you fall out of the top 50, whatever it is, we will pay. Michigan State will pay for your insurance policy, and you can get it pretty lucrative. All schools, if they want their stars to play, should underwrite those things and pay for it. You can do it now. In years past, they're like, well, we can't do anything because we can't give you any extra benefits. They can now. So if you want to see Kenneth Walker III in there, throw him a bunch of cash, pay for his insurance. They should have done this all along. But yeah, I mean, the only reason that he wouldn't want to pay, you got a limited number of carries in that body, and you don't want to ruin it. Jake Butt, that happened to him a couple of years ago, the Michigan tight end. He did have an insurance policy, but make it where it's worth his while to wear the green and white one last time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's going to suck if neither of them play, but I really do think that Kenneth Walker III has an opportunity to be a high second-round pick, i.e. pick number 33 for the Lions. But if Kenny Pickett plays, he can absolutely torch the defense, and he can skyrocket himself up into the top 5, top 8, whatever. So I think Pickett will for sure play. I'm not really sure about Kenneth Walker III.
Super Rossetti wants Skywalker to play in the Peach Bowl. It's only going to take his stock up. He wants to see Pickett to play as well. And he's mad that Chapman got his comment read before his. Sorry.
Because Chapman has better comments.
Ooh, there's the trash talk.
Doesn't speak in the third person.
Trash talking Tuesday. You got a last comment there?
No, I was just gonna say I agree with you on the NIL thing. I think honestly this will be it'll start increasing with NIL. Guys will start sitting out more, I believe, especially if you're a top 5, top 10 draft pick. Hopefully it doesn't equivalent to where it goes over to the CFB. But we'll have to see. But they just need to pay these guys. Just give them straight cash. Give them a real incentive to play in the game, because nobody cares about the gift bags they get. What are they giving them? A handbag and some towels and some candles. I mean, nothing worth my while. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just give the guys some money, and I think you'll see less guys opting out. Just that simple. Or expand the playoff, but that's a totally different conversation.
Which we will get to, I'm sure, in the weeks ahead, if not next week. All right, before we go to Chapter 4, which Brian is going to introduce, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, and that is CashToBitcoin.com.
And so that means we're going into Chapter 4, and that is about National Signing Day. And Dennis, I don't know anything about National Signing Day. I've never followed it, don't really understand it. And especially now in this day of age, I don't think it really matters, just for the fact that college football is totally different in every way, shape, and form. You got Brian Kelly leaving out of nowhere, going to LSU. You got coaches constantly moving. You got players in and out of the portal at all times. Does National Signing – I have a question for you guys. Does National Signing Day hit the same way it does 5-10 years ago? Do either of you guys care? What's so special about National Signing Day?
Adrian, I'll let you go first.
I'm one person who follows this stuff like a crazy madman. I'm on every alert. I'm constantly trying to figure out what's going on, because like we talked about earlier with NIL and the way the landscape of college football changing with the transfer portal, this stuff is becoming even more of importance. So like with coaches leaving, I think why and Dennis, why the coaching carousel has become so crazy and why coaches are being fired so early is because of the fact that they've implemented this early signing day. It puts more pressures on coaches to make an impact in recruiting, especially if you fire a coach in November. Now you're out trying to hire them quick in a month to keep your recruiting class together. And then if guys don't play right away, they're just entering the transfer portal. So now I think it's going to affect high school recruiting as well, because teams are just going to take more established guys that are already playing. So it's just a big domino effect that's going to fall. Like these 4 and 5 star guys are leaving after 1 year. Like Quinn Ayers from Ohio State reclassifiers entered Ohio State. Now he went to Texas like he should have went to in the first place. But it's just what the society is so self-centered. So these kids get babied and they get told how great they are and they don't face any adversity. And as soon as the first sign of, hey, you're not going to play right away, then boom, it affects everything. So it's like a big domino effect. And then when you start winning, like Michigan's, I'll hear it, Dennis, so you can go. But Michigan winning right now, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not the be-all, end-all recruiting, but if you look over the last 10 years, it's Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State. I mean, those are the teams that are always up there. So, but I think, Adrian, Brian is a Michigan State fan. And if you go over the last 10, 15, 20 years, Michigan State does not do really well in recruiting. They're not in the top 25. They're not in the top 30. And Mark D'Antonio, the mark of his program was he wouldn't really get good recruiting classes, but he would take these guys and he would turn water into wine. Mm-hmm. I mean, we could sit around and list 20 players, Darquez Denard, right down the line. These guys would be like ranked 362nd player in the state or something, and they end up going to the first round. That guy had an eye for talent, and he was fantastic. And for Michigan, why Michigan fans like it so much, they're generally not only in the top 25, but they're in the top 10. So, I mean, it's fun for them, but look out, because Mel Tucker, I just looked at Rivals. They are up to number 14. So look at last year, Jelinek, Michigan State was 46. The previous years, 32, 26, 33. They hadn't been in the top 25. Here they are at number 14. So I think Michigan State fans are going to start paying a little bit more attention now that Mel Tucker's the head coach.
Oh, I agree. So National Signing Day is all just about the hype of the incoming recruiting class, right? Is that really what it is? But at the end of the day, these numbers don't mean anything, do they? Like, does Mel Tucker being 14th really matter? Does Jim Harbaugh being 7th in the country? Does Alabama being number 1? Does that really matter at the end of the day? Because I always feel like
it's just a guide. You know what it is? It's a guide. Okay, it's fine. Like first-round draft pick. It's like a 5-star is a first-round draund pick. A 4-star is like having a second or third-round draft pick. Do 3 stars matter? If you look at Michigan's 2018 class, you go down. Ronnie Bell was like a 2-star, fabulous player, but right down the list, Hassan Haskins, he was a 3-star, but a very impactful player. It's just like in an NFL team. If you can turn your late round draft picks and get those guys to be stars, but you'd rather have all first and second round picks. I mean, so that's how I look at it.
It's really just a talking point, like to kind of give the fans and the media to be something excited about. So I was reading something where it said like usually the national championship will win the championship every year. I mean, typically lately it's been Alabama, but if you finish with the top 10 recruiting class, then you have a great chance of winning a national championship. But even if you have a top 25 class, which Michigan State will do now for sure, Mark D'Antonio was doing a good job early stages. They typically finish in the top 25, top 30. So it gives you a good point of a matching point to understand like where they're trying to go and what they're trying to be. Like if you're trying to be a good program from a great program, but it's just something to really talk about.
Yeah, Kirby Smart in Georgia, they've had the number 1 class, I think 3 or 4 times out of the last 5 years. It's pretty amazing the kind of talent that those guys are bringing in.
And look at that. They constantly underachieve at the end of the day if you're a Georgia Bulldog. Every year in and year out, they constantly underachieve. Really quickly, Spencer Rattler going to South Carolina, good or bad? I
think good for him because this move is really for him to improve his stock as a leader in maturity, because he's used to having super, super talented people around him. So we're going to be able to really tell if he can play football. If he can go there and succeed under Shane Beamer, then that's going to elevate his draft stock, because he was the number 1 quarterback. We thought he was the one coming into this season, and the tables have turned. So
Yeah, it's a great point. Just like you talked about the kid that was going to Ohio State that's now going to Texas. You have the transfer portal right now, and if a guy can eyeball a spot, you look over there at Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett's leaving. You're sitting over there, and you're like, well, I'm not going to win the job here. Boom. Let me make a beeline there and play for Pat Narduzzi. And you do that all throughout college football. So it's a second layer of, this guy's moving here, this guy's moving there. I was counting today. Michigan lost 14 guys to the portal. Last year, they're expected to lose double-digit players this year, and the way that they're signing their class is hot as a firecracker right now. And but you're going to see all these defections. People are like, "Whoa, what's happening to this guy?" And it's kind of the Wild West right now. All right, that gets us to the fifth chapter, which is the Pistons. They're taking on the Bulls coming up tonight, and we just wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you, gentlemen, about CADE Cunningham. And now that the Pistons, they don't have Jeremy Grant, like the prospects for this team winning any games. I mean, everybody recognizes now that this is going to be a lot like last year, that, it's going to be best, like the Lions, for them to be the worst team in the NBA and try to get that number one pick. Adrian, will CADE Cunningham sour on the Pistons with, them limping to the finish line and coming in last place? What do you think?
By the way, they're not playing tonight, Dennis. The game got
I'm sorry,
because the Bulls have like 10 guys, I believe, in the virus protocol. So it's a big outbreak on their team. But no, as of now, no. I think CADE is young. I think he's still trying to establish himself. I give it maybe a year or two. They need to put some players around him. And I'm adamant right now, Jeremy Grant needs to be traded because this is their only asset right now. And when I talk about trade, I don't mean for a late round pick from Miami or Atlanta. We need an established, young, talented player to go along with this man. He's been on fire the last 5 or 6 games, and we see it, and people were hard on him to start the season, but they need to start fast and get some players around him, or it's going to turn.
But isn't he out for 6 weeks? I mean, what if he's out, right up to the trading deadline? That seems like it's going to be almost coinciding with that. I mean, is the team going to, ship some valuable assets to a guy that's just coming off the injured list?
I think I was reading some stuff, and I heard they said teams they don't even care about the thumb injury. They're still interested in trading for him because Jeremy Grant can win you a championship being your third best player, not your first or second player. So that's where I think I think the Pistons have realized that he's reached his full potential with them, and that's not going to really do anything for them. So why not trade him? I think he has 1 more year on his contract after this year. I believe he signed a 3-year deal last year.
Yeah. Yeah, Adrian, I got to agree with you on that one. I don't think CADE Cunningham is going to sour here. Like, at the beginning of the year when he first started, you could see he was really trying to be just a floor general, like passing the guy's ball, having him ball as well as the other guy. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
And going on now, he's been like, all right, you know what? Everybody here sucks. I'm the guy. So, like, I'm just going to put the team on my back. And that's what I want my number 1 overall pick to be doing. So, I don't think CADE Cunningham is going to sour here. I think he's kind of built for – I hate this cliche, but I think he's built for this, like, Detroit-style sport, like Detroit-style basketball. I think he will be our guy long-term, but I don't see him souring at all. We do need to get better people here. That's trading Jeremy Grant. That's signing outrageous contracts to somebody right now. We need better people. We need better people in Detroit because if I was CADE Cunningham, I would jump off an overpass if I had to play with these guys constantly.
They missed so many shots and just turn the ball over. I need to know from somebody, if Killian is good, it's supposed to be good, why is Dwayne Casey constantly not playing him high minutes? He's playing anywhere from 25 to 28 minutes a game. That's not good enough, man. That's not what you need from the 7th overall pick from last year's draft. We should have had Tyrese Halliburton. I'm going to keep saying it, but, it's just this team is a net of talent right now. Frank Jackson is arguably the Pistons' second best player right now, and he's terrible. And
he's horrible.
It's not good.
Well, the one benefit of being a bad team and people understanding you're going to lose, you can give a lot of time to Killian Hayes, so you should expect those minutes to go up and see something. I know point guards, it takes a little bit longer, to mature and all those things, but he definitely is going to have to show more than what he has. Beth saying Grant would be a 3 or 4. I just think it sounds good dealing him for something other than a late first round pick, but I just don't see a team, giving up anything valuable for a guy that the Pistons just signed that they would probably look at, best saying a 3 or 4 anywhere else. I think he would be a bench player if you're talking about a championship team. So, talking about him, for a mediocre team or a bad team, he's a star here, but a 3, 4 most anywhere else. But, you talk about sending him to the Warriors or something like that. He's just a scorer coming off the bench, and they're not giving up anything like where you're thinking about. I don't think people are going to like the return. So I don't think that they'll end up dealing him, but we'll find out about that. Let's see. Riccidi's got some points here we'll get to on the Pistons. We know he's a big Pistons guy. In last place, moving at a snail's pace, I think, because of Troy Weaver will not get the right free agents that are available right now without a team. I don't think that the Pistons should be signing anybody that's on the scrap heap that's out there. I know he likes J.R. Smith.
No,
if he wants,
no.
That's who Ricciti wants. He wants J.R. Smith in here for the Pistons or the third Ball brother who's out there. And that's it. And we need a new coach. Well, they might be getting it. You might have your wish granted there. I think about Dwayne Casey. There's a possibility that they could move on with the head coach. You guys got any final thoughts?
They want to bring in the third. That's LiAngelo Ball. They want to bring in LiAngelo Ball to the Pistons.
Ricciti does. Not me.
Oh, my God.
That's super Riccitis.
That's stuff you can't do. You can't
J.R. Smith and LiAngelo Ball.
Wasn't J.R. Smith in college again? Isn't he playing college
golf? He just graduated. He just finished the semester with a 4.0 GPA. So
college golf playing for the Pistons. College golf.
My last point I want to talk about the Pistons is I would consider trading Saddiq Bey if the offer is on the table right now. He's playing terrible basketball right now.
Okay. Rob, Rob, we know you love Anzaloni. You had that dairy on here. I mean, this was your day.
Happy man.
He's a very happy man.
He's a happy man.
Let's see. Is this actually work? I'm very happy. Very happy. I'm echoing. Now I'm annoyed.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, tell everybody goodbye. Keeping the score. You got any better ideas? There's for Super Ricciti. Thanks to Robert Banker and for Brian Jelinek and Adrian Myers. I'm Dennis Fithian. And go ahead and tell everybody, Jelinek, we'll see you on Thursday.
They will see you on Thursday. I will not. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. So
bring your sweater.